Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Well, hello there. I'm Regina King, the Evil Queen.
And I'm Lynn Roskamp, the Docent of Darkness, and we're the hosts of Disturbing Interests.
Do you get excited about mummies, decorate in skulls, obsess over the loss of the Library of Alexandria, even though it was lost in a different age?
Do you kill the conversation with your in-depth serial killer knowledge, facts about items made out of human skin, or have a strange longing to know the softer side of Mothman?
Have you spent an objectively disproportionate amount of time studying the life of H.H. Holmes?
Oh, I wouldn't know anybody like that. No, certainly not.
Well, I mean, we did call our podcast Disturbing Interest for a reason.
That's right, we've got them, and we are doing you the favor of keeping the questions like, at what temperature does it take to destroy a cadaver, out of your browsing history?
Well, we hope.
Because with us, you might be disturbed.
But you're not alone. You can find us on any podcasting platform under Disturbing Interest, or check us out online at disturbinginterest.com.
Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
You're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Demolishment from Murder.
Demolishment. What have we demolished? I can't wait.
Yeah, so much demolishing. So
much demolishing. Yes, let's demolish something.
Yeah,
what do we got?
Let's demolish locally here in Woodland Park, Colorado. So
how far is that
local.
From you?
Probably about 3 hours ish. So it's a ways. Yeah,
still
pretty local.
You can get there. You can get there by car.
I can get
close
there.
Enough.
Right now we're in like freaking hurricane winds going on.
You're landlocked. How is that possible?
I know. Our neighbor called us last night and he's like, so did you have a metal shed? And we're like, oh shit. But luckily ours isn't metal. We have one of those cheapy plastic. Did. Yeah. He's like, well, somebody's took out my whole pergola. It was the people behind us. Their entire giant metal shed went flying over, took out the other neighbor's pergola.
Shit.
And then another friend was like, well, I have no power or anything. I have to evacuate because her neighbor's tree fell on the wires, all the power wires right in front of her house. So there's live wires everywhere. And the cops are like, you need to leave. What is happening? So Colorado's fun right now.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. So, but this story wasn't too long ago. It was May 8th of 2008.
That feels like yesterday to me, but
I know me
wasn't.
too. I know Gavin was.
It was before my kid was born, and yet still, I feel like it was yesterday.
Yes, it's wild. Okay, and Woodland Park. It's a very pretty area. It's near Colorado Springs, and we have a lot of stories from Colorado Springs, which is also a gorgeous area.
Something in the water.
Something. I don't know. This area in Woodland Park. Now I need to go see it because it has a rich history of the Old West. Like you think old saloons.
Really?
Yeah, and it still maintains that air with colorful saloon-style buildings that are really cute around the city. Forested mountains are this beautiful backdrop to it. So
sounds nice to me.
Yeah, I think I need to go visit it. Maybe when it's warmer.
Yeah, well, definitely when it's warmer and the winds stop.
All right. So this area, it's easy to access the wilderness since it's nestled in the mountains. And this young man of 18, Joshua Maddux, grew up here. And he's like a lot of the locals here, loves hiking, loves to go out in the wilderness, and he communes with nature.
Wait a minute, this is an active teen that goes outside and doesn't sit on devices?
Apparently in 2008 they still did, but
okay, it wasn't that long ago. Like seriously?
I know, I'm so proud of this kid. So
like my kids start shaking if they don't have a device within 2 feet of them at all times.
Their ADHD really hits hard and they got to be drugged. It's bad. Yeah. So that he lives, this kid lives in a really cool area near his home is the site of an old gambling saloon, which had been known as Thunderhead Ranch. Yeah. So on this particular morning of May 8th of 2008, Josh tells his family he's heading out for a walk. And being that it's in the mountains, it's still kind of chilly this time of year. So,
okay.
But it's still nice and it's a sunny day. So Josh goes out for a walk or hike, and that's
this is when
normal.
everyone's like really stir crazy from being locked up for the winter. So you're like, you know what? It's warm enough.
Yeah. And especially
if it was October, you'd be like, I'm not going out. It's cold. But in April, you're like, let's do this.
I've been stuck in my cabin because they're in the
Wear
mountains.
my shorts.
Yeah.
Wear my shorts.
Totally. Maybe he's one of those kids that wears them all year round. So, but this time, after Josh went out on his hike, he never came back.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Josh's dad, Mike, he's frantic. He had gone to work that morning, and when he gets home, Josh still isn't back. So, he's 18.
And there's wildlife there, right? I would assume.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's concerns. Josh still isn't back the next day. And
I'd be freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. They're not sure what to do. They're like,
and they have no idea where exactly he went, right? So where do you look for him?
Right. And I mean, mountain range, it's huge. So they call all of his friends, but no one's gotten any texts or calls or anything.
So something's wrong because he didn't talk to his friends for like 24 hours.
So Mike, the dad, he calls the police on May 13th. There's our 13th. He reports Josh as missing. Yes. So police are quick to mention, but Josh is an adult and maybe he ran away. Maybe he wants to go live his life.
Adults get eaten by bears too. Right. Just saying.
Can we just all look for this adult?
Oh,
but he's not really an adult. I don't care.
He has the right to disappear, but also anyone who goes for a hike and doesn't come back in 24 to 48 hours is an emergency.
Totally. Especially around here. It happens all the time. Hikers go missing all the time. And
so we have to
might need help.
Add to the addendum of you have, or whatever you want to call it, that you have the right to go missing as an adult. You also have the right to be eaten alive as an adult by bears and wildlife. Yes. You have the right to fall off a cliff should you want to. But it would
be nice if someone came looking for you.
It'd be nice if someone came to look, just in case it wasn't by choice.
Right.
In case it was against your will. I know you have the right to go missing, but if you wanted to go missing, what if someone found you and you just said, hey, I wanted to leave. And then they could go, all right, cool. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all we need to know.
What's the harm?
And what's the harm in checking that with the cops? Like, at least go check it. What else are you doing out here in the wilderness right now? They're thinking, okay, maybe he ran away. And they're like, there's no reason to think foul play is involved. Why would you think that? They're like,
because he's not home. Walks and keep going until they don't hit.
Because he's not home. So Josh has a sister named Kate, and Kate describes Josh as a free spirit. She talks about how he had mentioned to her before about an epic adventure he's planning on going on someday. Soon.
People don't go on epic adventures without planning.
True. Or without saying, hey, I'm going to go on this epic adventure now.
Bring a backpack or something.
Right. Something. He had said that he might go soon, and, I might not talk to you for a while because who knows? So she took
but
that
wouldn't
to
you
mean,
tell someone
I'm going to do this. Right.
Here's when I'm going.
Right.
I won't talk to you. So don't worry.
Exactly. But it wasn't now. He was saying soon, but I'm not sure when. But she took it to mean that if he did go off, it'd probably be into the wilderness, and maybe he did get just a wild hair and he decided the time was now. But again, like you said, I think he would say something. And that's how she felt too. She's like, yeah, he was spontaneous, but
if he didn't want people to worry, would he have given her the heads up?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We're way just deep in this hole.
Well, okay. Yeah. Because especially 18-year-old, I have a 19-year-old and he can't be without parental guidance or something. No, but he won't eat unless I'm around, oh yeah, there's food. Oh, I probably should eat.
Right.
No.
As soon as he figures out that you can't order a pizza from the wilderness. I'll be back. I gotta go home. I don't have any food.
Domino's says they don't deliver here.
I don't know. They had that. Have you seen that new commercial where you can just give them
drop or whatever?
Coordinates? What the hell is that shit? Anyway, okay.
Guaranteed. What if your phone? There's so many blackout spots here. Right. Like your phone doesn't work. So what do you do?
Okay.
Can you send that? Do they send drones? Could you send a drone?
Send a drone and drop a pizza to me.
Here's publication, but don't worry about telling the cops I'm lost. What?
Right.
So police do finally take it seriously. And they post missing persons notices with his photo. And they mention
that's the bare minimum they could do if they're not going to look for him. Well, we'll make a poster.
We'll put a poster up. Yeah. Thanks. But they do
I
mention,
could have gone to Kinko's and done that myself. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for your help. But I'm glad you sent it around, I guess.
Wait, if he's in the wilderness, are they expecting like the deers and the squirrels to like call in and be like, yo, we saw him. It's cool.
Let's put this through the squirrel network. We're going to see if...
Where did they post these notices? If he's on an epic wilderness adventure,
right? Where's
who's
it going to go?
Supposed to have seen him?
Maybe around campgrounds. That might help. I don't know.
Sorry. I can't get over this part. We got to get to the actual story. My bad. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's good.
I'm stuck.
I'm stuck. And especially at his age, like, I don't know.
He's 18. I'm 18. Sorry.
They're still babies.
Somebody needs to change that age of an adult status thing.
25 babes.
They're 25. Not. You're not.
No.
I wasn't.
No.
God, I don't want to be held to any of the decisions I made at 18. God, help me.
No.
Okay, no.
They did on the poster say that he could be in mental distress. And there's a reason for this. I thought
he was a completely normal 18-year-old who had the right to go missing. Now he's mental distress.
Now he might have distress. Right.
Back the fuck up. Okay.
All right. So just about 2 years before, Josh's older brother, Zachary, died.
Okay.
And this was when Josh was just 16. At the time of his death, his brother, Zach, was 18. Josh had cherished his older brother. He looked up to him. And unfortunately, Zach had his own mental struggle and he had successfully committed suicide.
Was it like an illness or a...
Yeah. And his brother had committed suicide the week he was supposed to graduate from high school.
Oh, God. He was so close.
Poor kid. Did not know.
So close to having the world open up for him. Oh,
yeah. Fuck. No, when you're, again, teen brain.
Okay. I'm sorry. Who is the police officer who was like, okay, this is an 18-year-old who lost their brother to suicide 2 years prior.
Right.
He probably just went on an adventure. Who the?
No, I know. Leaves his whole family behind who have been there supporting and grieving with him. Like, he's not going to just run.
That wasn't a ginormous red flag right there off the bat.
Yeah. You'd think.
Please.
So this, of course, crushed his entire family when Zachary died, but even heavier toll on Josh because they were so close, those two. The family had been made up of 2 boys and 2 girls. Josh was the youngest of all of them. And Zach's death was difficult on Josh, and he used the outdoors and animals to help him get through his grieving. Because
like Snow White?
Like Snow White.
I shall heal with the power of love of the animals. Sorry. I mean, it's not funny, but when you said it like that, I suddenly pictured Snow White in the forest crying and all the birds and the squirrels came up to her.
And legit, it helps. Like if I am having a horrible day, just going out and sitting among trees and shit. Yes, it helps.
I mean, that's a legit self-care thing for sure.
Yeah.
It's just the way you said it. I was like,
but that's how he would go and grieve. And so
that just goes
unusual.
More to my point of if this family was grieving because they lost this child, I feel like Josh, right, would be extra careful to say, I'm going for a walk. I'm not leaving you guys. So don't freak out. Like, you know what I mean? Like
he knows they were all freaking out already and so fragile.
He would be overly communicative if he was going to go offline, off grid for a while. Right.
Because he knows what
only meant to go for a walk.
Absolutely. Because he knows what his family was going through with his brother. So he wouldn't do that to him. But more about Josh. He's off the charts smart. Like IQ beyond in high school. He's artistic, quirky, which all artists tend to be. We know.
When you're smarter than the average bear, you're a little quirky too.
You're quirky. Yes, absolutely. It's true. So he spent a lot of his free time also playing music and writing fiction. Ooh. So I had read he was writing all these comic books and drawing them. And they actually were really cool, it sounds like. So his sense of style was notable with with kids at high school would describe him as friendly and outgoing. And he was the kid who wore a top hat and brought a briefcase to school instead of a backpack. So he was
get out.
So he was kind of quirky and fun.
1980, you were a nerd.
Oh,
but
yeah.
2008, you're cool and quirky.
You're
if you
cool
have
and quirky. Yeah.
You have a briefcase.
Briefcase and a top hat. So
I'm picturing like Revenge of the Nerds, but in 2008, you're not a nerd. You're cool.
Not. It's cool somehow. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's cute. And he's that outgoing and stuff. It's not like he's in this huge amount of mental distress. I don't think. He goes missing that spring and weeks turn into months.
Dang.
Turn into years. And there's no word. I know.
That's it. Oh my God, this poor family. They've lost 2 children in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
and both boys, so then now they only have their 2 girls left. So they're So Kate, his sister, she chose to believe that he decided to start a new life elsewhere. She's like, I just don't want to think about him dead. So she decides he escaped. He needed to escape the torment of losing his brother. And she's saying maybe he's out there writing books under a pen name in a life of solitude in the woods. That's what she's like. Okay, let's just hope with that.
Sure.
Mike, Josh's dad, he didn't want to give up the search for Josh. So he searched relentlessly for years. He went to all the campgrounds all around, homeless shelters. He's always
spoke to all the squirrels and
spoke to the squirrels. Nothing. So he even talked about every time he's at a store or a different town, he's just like always looking like, oh, that person kind of has hair like him. Could that be him? The torture of not knowing.
Yeah, right.
He's also thinking that maybe his son had a mental break and is in one of the mental, facilities.
Like in a facility somewhere.
Like maybe he had a break, doesn't know who he is. So he's constantly checking all these places. He also considered the horrible possibility that Josh had also committed suicide. So the thought that okay, if it happened to one and the other's really grieving, what if the other went off and did something and we'll never know. He's pretty far into the grieving process and it's in Colorado. So in Colorado, in fact, I just heard another story about it, but bodies turn up a lot. And it's people who
That's disturbing.
Yeah. But it's usually accidents. Like they get themselves in situations that are over their heads, like out of doors in the poor weather. And it's usually like months later they're found. Like I just heard about one.
This is absolutely justifying all of my anxieties. Like
well, and I mean, you hear about it almost weekly here that people who went missing in the fall, they're being found now.
God.
Yeah. So I know one, they just found a guy that had fallen off a cliff and nobody knew what had happened to him. So that just recently happened. And then another had gone kayaking and they just got his body. So
this is why
it happens a lot.
The thought of me even going on a walk around the block like makes me nervous. Like I have to tell people where I've gone. Yes. And I don't live near a mountain. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying like.
Yes. And that's very smart. You have to do that. Especially so around here, it's not that weird, which kind of sucks. But because of this, every time a body is found near Woodland Park, so Josh's family is like going to brace themselves for awful news because they're like, oh,
right. Okay.
Is the time. This is going to be him. But Mike didn't want to move out of their family home after Josh had been missing because he's like, what if we leave and he tries to return?
Then he can't find us. Right.
Yeah. And we abandon him. Oh, the torture. And in Woodland Park, Josh isn't the only name on people's minds when a body's found. Lucas White Gordon had disappeared on his 24th birthday on June 23rd of 2004. So about 4 years before Josh. The last time he'd been seen, he had been dropped off by friends at a gas station. And after they dropped him off, they could see him kind of in the distance, probably in their rearview mirror, getting into a van.
Oh.
And his mother never heard from him again. So,
God. Okay.
And it was weird for her because he had helped support her like financially. So they had worked.
Didn't make sense that he would just up and pick up and go.
Right. And she believes that someone killed him and police aren't interested in solving his case because they're poorer, and I think he might have been into some not so above ground stuff, maybe some drugs, I don't know, but
so he's not worth looking for.
He was gone too. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So it wasn't, so every time a body would come up, everybody around would speculate, oh, could it be Josh? Could it be Lucas? Could it be one of these guys? So I mentioned Thunderhead Ranch earlier, that old gambling saloon that the family lived near. So this property has this old cabin on it that's falling apart, hundreds of years old. And the cabin had been in the local Murphy family for 60 years. They had bought it at the end of the Thunderhead Ranch operation. So they bought it right as the gambling saloon was being closed down because it was illegal.
Wow, that's a bad time to make that investment, wasn't it?
They're like, well, hey, land is like gold up here.
Land.
So
I was just like, we're going to get into the gambling business. Oh, we're not doing that anymore?
Damn. We just got caught by the cops. Never mind. So the ranch had been part of that. And after the ranch had been shut down, one of the Murphys had lived in the cabin for nearly 30 years, after which it was abandoned. So then they abandoned it. The main ranch building had been renovated into this nice inn, but nobody bothered much with the little cabin. They're like, this little cabin.
It's obviously not like right there then. It's
right.
Probably
it's on the property. Yeah, somewhere.
But
Chuck Murphy, the owner, he talked about how they'd occasionally go in the cabin to check it out, but that it had this weird stink to it, the stench, and
red flags, so many flags.
But to him, he's like, okay, well, there's all these critters you could tell had been in there, mice,
something died in
raccoons, something died.
Sure.
So at some point, also vandals had broken in, and what they described as a breakfast bar, I think it was cabinets that were on the wall had been broken down off and moved. So vandals had done something like that, and they moved it in front of the fireplace.
They came to steal. They're like, you know what? We're going to renovate our kitchen. I know there's this really old, crappy cabin. What if we just take those?
Yeah. And then they take them off the wall and they're filled with mice shit, and they're like, never mind.
Oh,
so
never mind.
Maybe that's why. Yeah.
Right. Or like, I don't know if you've seen this a lot, but like I see people all the time, they redo their kitchens and then they take their old cabinets and they put them in their garage.
Yes.
For like garage
storage.
So they were like, you know what? We could use some garage storage.
Yeah. Let's take
I know where we can get some shitty cabinets.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently these were like super heavy. So they're probably solid wood for back in the day. Yeah. But they didn't take it. They just ripped it off the wall and then they move it in front of a fireplace. So this super heavy thing
than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it had to be a bunch of people that did it because there's no way to move it. And this guy that owns the place said that there was no reason really to go in this cabin other than to tear it down and do something new there. So
kids to go there to get high and party and
yeah. So in the summer of 2015, he had decided to have the old cabin demolished to make room for a housing development that would have 32 single family home lots. So he was going to make some big cash.
He was going to make some money, but we got to get rid of this piece of shit that's here first. That's doing nothing but taking up space and falling apart anyway.
Yeah, it's gross. Let's get rid of this. So Josh's family, they had searched all around the area, but the cabin had never really been on their radar as they didn't think it was a place he would go. Like, it's personal property. It's private property. What's he? So
it looks like if you step into it, it could fall on you anyway.
Right.
Let's just not go.
You don't want to go in that. And gross. And it had been boarded up for a long time.
But what if it had been like Snow White, and that's where like the dwarves lived, and then remember then the woodland creatures went in and they fixed it all up, and it's so not missed opportunity. I don't know where this Snow White shit is coming in.
I don't know. You're on it. Yeah, you better go watch it later.
Yeah.
So they bring an earth mover to bring this because it's not, or to demolish it because it's not a small job. This is, it's pretty heavy duty.
Sizable cabin, huh?
It's probably the giant old logs that they used to use to actually make old cabins. So it seems they don't seem to bother getting rid of the old furniture inside before taking down the building. So they just furniture and all whatever's left in there. We're just going to knock it all down. So no one's going to resell this or repair it or shit. So, and there's too much mice pee on it. Yeah. They get to the old fireplace that has one of those old brick fireplaces, and they have to move that piece, that giant bar piece, to get it out of the way before they can knock down. Yeah, before they can knock down the old fireplace. So after moving that block of cabinets, they can see something in the fireplace leading into the chimney. And they discover it's a partially mummified skeleton.
Oh, shit. That was not expected.
No, they're like, oh, shit. Everybody stop. So don't demolish anything else. This has now become a crime
scene.
This is now a problem. So the body is upside down in the chimney. It's in the fetal position with a hand covering its face.
Upside
down.
Like going head first. Mm-hmm. Like dove head first from the...
Right. Nobody would do that. But upside down, hand covering his face. Skeleton is only wearing like a light sweater, like a Henley, I think, and nothing else. And the legs had been dislodged. So they're thinking maybe because of the heavy use of machinery, the body may have been moved a little bit.
Oh, like it was up further in the chimney and half of it
and maybe
fell down lower.
Yeah, maybe the legs kind of got taken off. So who knows? But they call the police, and the police come and gather the remains. And the property owner, Chuck, is told 2 days later, you know what? We're done with our investigation. He's told, hey, 2 days from now, we're done. You can go back, demolish. 2 days after the body.
I'm sorry. Has this been solved? Has the mystery been solved? Do we know who this person was? Go ahead and destroy the rest of any potential evidence.
It's fine. It's just a dead body. Don't worry about it. So a few weeks later, Josh's family gets a call. They find out it is Josh. And they're told, it was a terrible accident. No way this was a homicide. So the coroner said that it seemed...
What was an accident? He accidentally fell into a chimney?
Into the chimney, yeah.
Like he tripped? What? How do you accidentally get trapped in a chimney?
Yeah, exactly. And this coroner's like, okay, here's what happened. So Josh, he's this thin, tall teen. He probably shimmied down the chimney Santa Claus style, in quotes. That's how he told them, Santa Claus style, to get into the cabin. But that when Josh had reached the bottom of the fireplace, there was an insert, like a heatilator, which we've got in ours.
Okay, whoa, stop right there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Was there no other possible entrance to this abandoned cabin? There wasn't a window or a door or a...
Right. Other vagrants had gotten in. So you would think there's another way. Although the owner did say it had been boarded up since and all that kind of stuff.
But he was going to go in head
through
first.
The chimney.
Through the chimney. Santa Claus style, which, oh my God, I just flashed back. Do you remember the movie Gremlins?
Yes.
And that's how her dad died? Whoa.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. So they're telling him.
This is the stupidest fucking story I've ever heard.
I know. And they're thinking the same. And thanks so much for making it so jovial with Santa Claus style. Thanks, with their son. So that he's saying, okay, when Josh reached the bottom of the fireplace, there's this insert in there and it would have prevented him from getting out. So he got stuck. Same as like that big breakfast bar. So they're like, oh, he just got stuck. And he's like, I don't know. It's hard to speculate how he died, but it could have been hypothermia or it could have been dehydration, but he couldn't get himself back out of there.
That is a horrifying thing to tell these people.
Absolutely. Horrible. Like, oh, he had this very long, horrifying death.
Wow. And you just ruined Christmas. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Yeah. We don't want to ever think about Santa Claus or chimneys again.
Wow.
Yeah. So Chuck Murphy, that owner, he calls the coroner's office. He wasn't told anything about the investigation. And he wasn't asked anything either. Like they didn't interview him afterwards or anything. He had only heard nothing. He had only heard about it when the news had gained worldwide attention for how horrifying it was. Like teens stuck in chimney, and it was worldwide. So
this is his freaking property.
Yeah. So when Chuck hears the details the coroner gave about how Josh died, he knew they had it all wrong. So he's like, I got to talk to this coroner. So he calls him and lines up a meeting, and he tells him, so in 1990, the cabin had an addition built onto it, which included the chimney. So it wasn't this old 100-year-old chimney.
Oh, okay. This was in a new section of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So being that this cabin's in like this wooded area with many critters like raccoons, Chuck had an insert installed at the top of the chimney. This is a heavy mesh iron grate that is installed into the brickwork, like as they're putting the bricks
at the top, so animals can't get in.
Right.
Santa Claus style, if you will.
Santa Claus is not getting in this fucking chimney. Investigators hadn't seen this part of the chimney when they came to see the body because it had been removed during the demolishment.
Oh, right, because they're demolishing the thing, and there's no way to go back and look at it now because it's all fucking gone.
It's all messed. So, yep. When the demolition crew had been working, they had separated out the metal from the other debris and had put the mesh in that pile, and so it was all gone, had been recycled, whatever. So the coroner said, oh, investigators, they never saw anything like that. I don't think it was there. Probably a chimney sweep had taken it away years before, or maybe it disintegrated. It's not that long.
It was disintegrated?
Yeah. Metal? No, it's not going to disintegrate after 10 years, 20 years.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Is this a place that was maintained where they were having a chimney sweep come in regularly?
Exactly. I don't think so. And it being that it was embedded into the masonry, it's not like it was centuries old.
I can't even. This whole thing, I can't even. Okay.
So Chuck is like, so he's upset. This is the owner is the one fighting for this kid, basically. He's like, well, what about the clothes we found in the cabin? Josh's pants, his underwear, his socks, and shoes were right outside of the fireplace on the other side of the breakfast bar.
So the person who broke in, his clothing got there before him? Is this what we're saying?
It's Santa Claus style.
And he decided if he was going to go down the chimney Santa Claus style, what might stop him was everything from the waist down. So he stripped from the waist down and then dove in.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
This is the most fucked up story I've ever heard.
Yeah, exactly. Why would he take off everything except for his thermal shirt, go outside, and go down the chimney when he's all aware that it's blocked from the inside?
This is so not a fucking accident.
No.
There's nothing accidental about any of this.
There is no way. And the coroner's like, I agree. That's a real puzzler. And literally that's what he said. You're right. That's a real
head scratcher. That's
But maybe the kid was on drugs. That was what his other you're right. Drugs makes you magical.
That's what I was going to say. What drug do you take that you can make your clothing arrive someplace before you do? What drug is that?
Right. Or maybe he was like Santa and he's like, and he got partially
the nose thing.
He partially got up the chimney, but didn't make
upside down.
Upside down. Unless he was climbing from the bottom.
None of this makes any fucking sense.
Right.
I'm sorry. You can't just say, oh, we don't know how to explain that, so it must have been drugs.
Right.
Shit, if drugs like that exist, we'd have an even bigger epidemic on our hands than we do now. Because people would be like, I want to do magic shit. Like,
absolutely. Give me more of that. Give me more of the Santa Claus drugs.
You can do magic shit. It doesn't actually make you magical.
No. And he says, okay, yeah, well, we did try to test for drugs. But, part of him was mummified, and they tried to use the mummified flesh, but they couldn't get a clear test. So Josh's family is like, no. We disagree heartily that he did illegal substances, which sometimes you don't know as a parent, but still, there'd be signs.
Again, I'm pretty sure they'd know if he had magical powers.
Right. Maybe he can do the nose twinkle thing and his clothes fall off. That's
I know a lot of guys that would like that gift. I know a lot of guys that'd be like, I got something special to take to the bar.
I'm going to put something in your drink here.
Terrible. Oh my
God. It's a magical clothing remover. So Chuck is...
I think that's called tequila. Sorry. Okay.
There is a drink called the panty dropper. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
But people don't typically use it on themselves. Like that's not
true. He's like, I'm going to go panty drop in this cabin tonight.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Nothing about what you've said so far. You know how they say like you could put something in front of a jury and it's just reasonable doubt?
Right. This is all
There's
reasonable.
So much doubt.
I have so much doubt that he did this to himself. Right. So Chuck, the owner, he's like, I have no idea how Josh got in the chimney, but I refuse to believe he wasn't either forced and he's like, I'm sure he didn't get in from the top because of that grate he had installed. And so what he thinks is that Josh was murdered by either somebody forcing him to get in there and then he dies, or he's killed in the cabin and his body is stuffed up in the chimney to hide it.
That is a crazy hiding spot for a body.
I mean, it was over 10 years that they found it, till they found it 7 years. So.
And then that's probably who put the cabinets in front of the
maybe
fireplace, because then nobody would casually go in there and be like, something's poking out of the fireplace.
Right.
Or there's a smell coming from the fireplace.
Right. And
you'd be like, we should investigate. Oh, look at that big thing in front of it.
Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to go look.
That's all right. We'll just
let it. And it's not like he pulled that giant bar into
he pulled that on after
himself.
Right. He took off his clothes. He folded them up.
Yeah.
He pulled the cabinets up behind him as he did a handstand.
Right. Yes.
Into the chimney.
He somehow, turned himself upside down. Yeah. And that was another thing they were talking about. Like, and I know with Gavin with parkour, he does this where you go up small spaces, you can shimmy yourself up.
Yeah, but don't you do that head first?
Yeah, you do.
Right.
So, but they're saying, well, maybe he's thin enough that his body kind of got into a fetal position as he decomposed type of thing, turned into himself. But it's pretty small. I don't know how
I can't think of a possible reason why someone would climb their ass up into a chimney.
Mm-mm. I can't either. I understand wanting to explore places, but oh my God, you'd want to make sure you get out.
He wanted to explore the wilderness. Nobody said shit about a chimney. Nobody said anything about, I want to explore the inner workings of a fireplace.
Of an old, nasty fireplace.
To go into the wilderness.
I know. So this coroner, he's like, no, I disagree. It's not a homicide. There's just not any evidence of it.
It's just a really bizarre freak accident that we can't think of any possible reason for.
And we just got rid of the evidence before we could even try to figure it out.
Well, so, that is a problem too.
Mm-hmm.
There's that.
Yeah. He had said that the hard tissues on the corpse showed no sign of trauma. There weren't any broken bones or knife marks. And inside the chimney, there were no items like duct tape or rope.
Okay.
He did say something like strangulation, though, wouldn't necessarily show up in an autopsy on an already kind of mummified.
Right. And that doesn't leave there's no tissue to show that.
Right. He did say, the coroner said that if someone had put Josh in there, it would have taken 2 people at least to move him into that position that he was in. Instead, he's like, oh, I think Josh died of hypothermia because temperatures on the day of his disappearance were in the high 20s that night.
Ooh, and he had no pants on.
He had no pants. I know, sorry. And they were kind of talking about that, like, could have been like, he did want to climb up the chimney, so he had taken off things that were gripping onto the walls, like, oh, this is keeping me out of being able to get up.
But his shirt was not a problem.
Right. And there's the problem with the bar still.
Wouldn't you think that shoes would help you in that situation rather than have them not on?
Yeah, help you grip.
Although my son does refer to his feet as concrete grippers, but that's not what he means.
No. Speculation on Josh's death, it's further riled up when it comes out that the police had been fielding calls for years. About an individual who had been bragging that he'd killed Josh. But I didn't tell anybody about this. No, we're just going to, thanks for the information. We're not going to do anything
with
this.
What was the point of putting the posters up to get information if you weren't going to do anything with it?
People are calling in with information. Do you want this information we're calling in with or not?
Are you fucking serious? Okay, sorry.
So rumor had it that this troubled man had talked about it not only in person, but online. And since had deleted those social media posts.
Well, of course he had.
Yeah. People.
No, whatever it does. Things live on the internet.
They live somewhere. Someone's got something. So the suspect, he has this long criminal record, who had spent time in jail in Texas, Portland, Seattle, and had some like vague legal troubles in New Mexico.
Legal troubles.
Yeah, it was hard to figure out what he'd gotten caught for. But he lived mostly a transient homeless life. And it's hard to put a timeline onto when he was in the Woodland Park area, let alone if he had been there during the time of Josh's disappearance, because he's transient. So,
and he bragged
about it.
About harming this person.
Yeah. But police are like, these accusations, all we got is just hearsay. There's no real evidence of time or specifics, but it's not like
You
they
mean
went
the
to seek
same
out this guy.
situation they have about why Josh would have decided to dive headfirst into a
Right.
chimney?
They'd
It's just
rather
speculation
Yeah.
and
yeah, they'd rather go
hearsay.
with he just died for fun. He died from an adventure of naughtiness. The spotlight on this suspect and who he actually was came out due to a person posting on Reddit. This is so interesting. This guy. So nobody knows who he really is. Poster's name, I love the name of this poster. Gentamangina.
Nuh-uh.
Gentamangina.
Okay.
No one knows who this person's real name is, and the post is still there. I found it all on Reddit. It's very interesting. And his comments line up with known evidence. So his posts are in response to a thread titled, quote, "People who have known murderers, serial killers, etc. How did you react when you found out? How did it affect your life afterwards?" Unquote. Okay. Gentamangina says that he went to high school with a, quote, skinny, dorky hippie named Andy, who played guitar in a band. He said he wasn't good friends with him, but that this Andy started hanging out with his good friend Josh after they graduated. He said that shortly after they began hanging out, Josh had gone missing. Andy had told another friend that he and Josh had been planning a trip to New Mexico together. So this Gentamangina hadn't thought much about it at the time until he saw articles about what Andy had been doing when he was in New Mexico. One article on crimesceneinvestigations.blogspot.com from 2009 had some interesting info. So it said that this 21-year-old Andrew R. Newman was wandering around in the Houston area, going door to door asking for food and water. One person that had come home to find this man in their house, because he'd been going door to door asking for money, he was sitting with his 15-year-old son and 17-year-old daughter acting strangely. They had let him in.
They let him. I thought you were going
to
say he went in through the chimney.
Oh, God. Not Santa everybody Claus tries to go into the chimney.
Yeah. You got me thinking that this is a normal thing.
No, it's not. So
they let did they not have the stranger danger talk?
No, they must have felt too bad for him. They're like, we're almost grown up. And I'm sure this guy looked their age. We got
snacks.
Yeah. So this guy, he comes home and he tells Andy, he's like, you know what, son? And he thought he was so smart in this. He's like, you know what? I'll drive you to the next county, because he wanted to get to the next county, to where you want to be.
That's a weird thing to say.
Right.
I want to go to the next county. Not like I'm trying to go to a certain town or I'm trying to get to family.
No.
I want to leave the county.
Like, I want to get away from where I caused trouble.
Fleeing a certain police jurisdiction is what that sounds like. What else do you use? Because he needs different taxes? What the hell would you leave the county for? What other need do you have to be in a different county?
That county has better property tax rates. I want to get to this next county.
Right? What a weird thing to say.
Right.
That's a red flag. I want to go to the next county.
Yeah. So this guy's like, oh, sure, I'll take you to the next county. So get in the car. So he gets Andy in the car and he drives him straight to the sheriff's office.
I almost spit out my water.
So good dad. He did the right thing.
Wow. So, good for that guy.
Yeah.
Whoops. So, I made a little detour.
Weird. We're in the next county at the sheriff's office. Promise. Get inside. Officers take him in. Andy's fingerprints are run through APHIS, and they matched those that had been found at a murder scene in Albuquerque on May 2nd of 2009, as well as, they also matched to a burglary in Seattle.
Wow, he really does get around, doesn't he?
He gets around. And they think that he'd been traveling around so quickly by train jumping, thus getting away easily after committing crimes. So
people still do that? Like, I feel like that is like...
I know, it's such a hobo time, like the 30s, right? 1930s. Yep. Nope.
Didn't know that.
Apparently they still do it. So in Albuquerque, a man named James Willito had become friends with Andy. James was the caretaker of an invalid man named Anthony Schneider. And whenever Andy was in town, he would stay with them. On one such occasion, James, the caretaker, his friend, he had left Andy with the invalid, the immobilized man, Anthony.
That seems like a bad idea. Okay.
Yep. And
not that he would probably knew that at the time, but
no. And he just went to take a shower. So he's like, I'll be right back.
He didn't even leave.
He didn't even leave.
Went to take a shower.
He went to take a shower. When James comes out after his shower, Andy is gone and Anthony is dead from a stab wound. Oh shit. There goes his job. First of all, there goes his
holy
guy
shit.
he's supposed to be taking
no
care
more
of.
References either.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's no positive references for me. Like he's gonna have to find a different line of work.
You're gonna have to do something else.
I left the person who was in my care in a questionable person's care, and wow.
He is now dead. So he calls him, and he had fled. So now they have him in custody. So they question Andy, and he's like, yeah, I did that. I also stuffed a woman into a barrel in Taos, New Mexico.
I'm sorry, what? Are we just like comparing story? Are we, what?
What? Yeah, I did that. That was a good time. I also did this thing.
A woman in a barrel.
Yeah. So they call police in Taos, and police there are like, yeah, we know about the woman in the barrel, but we already have our man. So
I don't think you do.
It's not Andy. I don't think so either, but they're like, yeah, we got him. Don't worry about that guy.
Sorry, we already put that in the solved pile, and we don't feel like taking it out now.
We don't want to look at that again. Andy obviously has mental illness. Of some sort at the time.
He's got something.
So
that's not normal.
No. So his defense attorney, he enters a not guilty plea on behalf of him for the murder of Anthony Schneider. But the attorney is like,
did he give any kind of reason of why he stabbed this man?
It sounds like he is very, very difficult to talk to and isn't there mentally, because the attorney explains how he's not even sure Andy knows what's going on in the current situation. He said he would try to talk to him, but you couldn't even tell it if he was understanding what was being said. So this guy is...
Okay, he must understand something because he can get across country by train.
Yeah.
He's got to have some kind of wits about him because he wormed his into these teenagers' house.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, something's not tracking here.
Something's not, I know. And maybe he's pretending to be, insane. Right. Who knows? But then on September 12th of 2009, Andy tries to escape jail. And so he's charged with that as well. So,
well, he seemed to understand that he was in jail, didn't he?
Yeah. I want out of this place. I don't like it here. So attempts are made to have a trial for the next few years. But on May 6th of 2010, Andy is committed to the New Mexico Behavioral Health Institute to work on becoming fit to stand trial, because he's not
He's not fit to stand trial. Okay.
Yeah. However, the caretaker of the man, that's James Willito, he'd been killed in a bar fight. He was the sole eyewitness to this whole thing.
Well, not even an eyewitness. He was in the shower, but still, he was the only witness.
Yeah.
Did it just go away? Yeah. But the guy still died.
Right. They just dropped the charges. Like, I don't feel like bothering with this. This is too much work. Drop the charges. He's let out. Right. So he's released. He continues to get into trouble, which looked to be
this was in what year was this that he
That was 2009 that he got.
So this was after Josh disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that didn't lead to Josh disappearing. That had already transpired.
Happened. So he's released. He continues to get into trouble for things like burglaries, contempt charges, assault of police officers.
That really sounds like somebody who knows what he's doing and is aware of his situations and surroundings.
Yeah, trying to get money.
I feel like he snowed his lawyer.
Interestingly, I just found a recent booking for trespassing in 2023 in Florida, but nothing too much worse than that. He's
still around?
Just keeps getting out and stuff. It's funny, his mugshots get increasingly worse. Like he looks worse and worse and worse with each one.
Okay.
So this quote from that Reddit post, it says, quote, "This is just my opinion, but I don't care who you are. You don't try to climb headfirst into a chimney via a hole rusted through a metal grate with your dick hanging out."
That's what I was thinking. I just didn't word it that way. But
I don't care who you are. You don't go.
Because if things are going to catch on the brick walls around you.
Oh,
sorry. Oh my God.
That's some major chafing. We don't want to
going to hell.
Yep.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. So on that, like on the post, people are like theorizing all sorts of things. There were theories that maybe he got himself locked in the cabin somehow and figured the only way out was through the chimney, but he would have had to push that bar cupboards out of the way. Same thing we talked about, move the heatilator, which is the steel insert inside the bottom of the fireplace. Apparently it was still there.
Okay, so he was trapped in the chimney between steel above him and steel below him.
Yeah.
But this was something he did to himself with no external help.
And another theory was that maybe he's suffering from hypothermia because, when you do start to become hypothermic, you remove your clothing because you feel like you're hot.
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, that's one of the symptoms. So you're always told out here, like, if you're feeling like you need to start removing your clothing in the deep winter,
don't
get help. Because you're obviously starting to suffer.
But nowhere do they say to climb into a chimney, correct?
No. Well, but there's this other symptom of hypothermia, and it's called terminal burrowing, which is when those who are near death from hypothermia seek small covered spaces to hide. So people are wondering.
But a vertical shaft with no bottom?
Right. That you'd have to move things to get into. So
wouldn't he climb into those cabinets first?
Right. You would think, right?
I'm sorry. None of this, this is a stretch.
Yeah, well, and they're saying, well, maybe he did that. He climbed into the chimney to get warm, but then someone else, long after he died, moved the bar in front of the chimney.
Again, how did he get past the metal?
Right.
None of it makes sense.
It's such a mystery. So to get more answers, the investigation would need to be reopened. But for some reason, the coroner declared the death as accidental instead of undetermined, which he could have done. So he had been quoted, the coroner had been quoted as saying, quote, "I know it's not a natural death, and I'm confident it's not suicide. My other options are an accidental death, homicide, and undetermined cause of death. It is frustrating we can't pin it down." But he could have chosen undetermined. But
I was just going to say, wouldn't undetermined still leave it open to the possibility of homicide?
And then it could be investigated, but he did not. So now it cannot be investigated. It could be changed to be investigated, but
are there any coroners out there that would like to look into this report and maybe
reinvestigate, open it back up?
Opt to say, hey, I'd like to disagree. Right. So it could be open. But wait, this other guy, the
other guy. Yeah, he's still out there.
He's still out there.
Mm-hmm. Never got recharged with any murder. That one
he's
guy
just roaming around on trains and shit.
Around. I don't know what he's doing. Last time I read, he was in Florida, though, of course, because everybody goes to Florida.
Oh God!
So fun for you in Florida.
Maybe
watch out for Andy.
Crocodile will find him.
Maybe he'll fall into a lake.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just watched the new Roadhouse, and it's based in Florida, and there's a crocodile incident. Yeah,
crocodile incident.
Freaking hot. What's his name? Jake
Gyllenhaal. Really?
Oh, my God, he got so ripped for it.
Wow. Okay.
So good. We tried to watch the Patrick Swayze version. We were like,
do you need a moment?
I forgot how bad it was. Yeah, I do. I'm going to go think about Jake.
Do you need a moment?
Anyway.
Okay. So tell us about Thunderhead Ranch.
A little bit about Thunderhead Ranch. They had illegal gambling and bootlegging operations going through Prohibition. And they also hired topless dancers from Vegas. So they were brought up there. There was a rodeo arena that was very popular. And a huge rodeo that they did. And I mean, it was like the whole community was involved in this. So it would, everyone was okay with the gambling and illegal operations because they're having fun. All the operations from all the gambling and stuff helped fund the building of a church and the VFW. So they're, of course,
we're using the money for good. It's okay.
It's fine. So at the Thunderhead Inn, there's even, and I have a picture of it, there's even a small cage type building where drunks and troublemakers are thrown to sleep it off. This little jail, but it's tiny. It's like a crate they're thrown into.
Like
go
a dog
sleep
crate.
It off. Yeah.
Sleep it off in the dog crate.
So that was a little bit of the history of that place,
and yet not the worst thing that ever happened there.
No, there has been worse. And I don't know what to think it could have been that happened to Josh, whether he did somehow climb himself into there, but it
I can't think of any possible scenario that would even
unless he was very hypothermic and you do go out of your brain. Like you can't think straight.
But you don't become magical.
You don't. But maybe he was like doing their thing they were saying.
Again, now when I get hot and overheated, I don't start with my pants and my underwear and leave my shirt on. I usually start with my shirt.
True.
You usually start top down, right?
That's true. And that's a good point. And you would think with your hypothermia, that's what you would go for first. Like,
right. You would take off your shirt and stuff and go, nope, still too hot. Now I'm going to take off my pants. You
wouldn't start with the bottoms up.
Start with the bottoms up and go straight all the way through to underwear without removing a shirt first. Especially for a guy who remove, guys go topless all the time. None of this makes sense.
No. So that's why, people were trying to get it started up again on Reddit. And it's so interesting that one guy seemed to have all this information, but nobody knows who he is. Except
what was his name again? Mangina? What? What was
it? Genta Mangina. Yes. Genta Mangina. And there's been no posts from Genta Mangina since.
And when was that? When was the last one?
That was, let me see where he did that. Let me see if it had been said. That might have been around 2009.
Oh, God, that's really old now. Damn.
Yeah. It's still on there, but it's been so many years.
Oh, my God. This is such a bizarre story.
So if anybody who knows who Genta Mangina is, tell them to go tell them.
That's a messed up story.
I know. It's sad. I'm sorry.
It's incredibly sad.
Yeah,
I know it doesn't sound like I think it's serious and sad because that's my defense mechanism.
Right. But it's horribly sad and scary. And I can't imagine how his family went through, but at the same time,
how incredibly frustrating it is for them because there's nothing they can do about it because they've been like the doors have been slammed shut on them for anything else they can do.
Yep. No option. So that is the story. Would you like to hear my sources?
Holy shit. Yeah, please. Besides Reddit.
I know. I have that Reddit post. I will put it on there so that people can so they can read it for themselves. So there's unresolved.me, definitely unresolved. Yeah. Medium.com. There's an article by Shinbaga Lakshmi, Gazette.com, dailymail.uk.co because it went overseas. Everybody's talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Pikes Peak Courier.net, Unresolved Mysteries thread on Reddit, Ute Pass Historical Society.org.
Wow.
And there was also articles from a post from crimesceneinvestigations.blogspot.com about the New Mexico murder suspect captured, but he was later released. So
that was a crazy good story. Insane. I'm so frustrated with it.
I know. I'm sorry. It's an unresolved one, but I was like, maybe if it gets told, maybe if more people know about it, maybe it'll get opened up again and there'd be some.
I don't know what happened to him, but I firmly believe it wasn't an accident, and I don't think it was
suicide.
No, I don't.
There'd been. I know. I don't think he would do it in that way.
He was alone.
No, who would commit suicide where you've got to suffer for possibly a week at a time or something?
I would give it. Okay, let's say he and this Andy guy were hanging out in this cabin, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's say Josh did freak out and die of hypothermia and he took off all his clothes or whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. And maybe this Andy guy was like, fuck.
Yeah, I'm going to get
and then put him up in the chimney and put the thing. So like maybe he didn't kill him, but he hit his body anyway.
He did something,
but
I think.
I'm sorry. Josh did not get in that chimney by himself.
Yeah. And there's too much history with that Andy guy to think that, if he's already kind of done shit like this, maybe
he sounds like somebody who doesn't make good decisions.
Right.
So, okay. So maybe he didn't cause Josh's death, but he was certainly involved in the mystery surrounding.
Yeah. Like he might know what that guy was going to go do because he did say they were going to go to New Mexico together. So,
right. And he bragged that he killed him.
Could he possibly have taken money from Josh and then killed him and to go to New Mexico?
I was going to say, did he steal his clothes? But you said no, they were there. So
anyway, well, thank you for listening to another weird episode from season 13. We're going with all weird, all kooky,
all weird all the time for season 13.
Yeah. All right.
Yep. Thanks. Well, next week we'll bring you another weird what the fuck story.
Hopefully a solved one.
Please. Yeah. Well,
please.
that's on me.
We need resolution. Yeah, it's on
I can't do the unsolved ones.
I know.
Annoy me. I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight now.
I am sorry. I know, but neither was I, so I had to share it with the world. You're like, here, delve into my pain.
Be miserable. You all have to be miserable too.
You all don't know what's happening either. All right.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of ODFM. ODFM is hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Editing and production is by Kelly DeVries. Theme music is by Eric Swanson. For images from each episode and more, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok with the handle ODFM Podcast. For video episodes, subscribe to our YouTube channel by searching for ODFM Podcast. If you are looking for more content, chances at prizes and more, become a Patreon fan at patreon.com/ODFM podcast. Subscribing to our Patreon is a great way to help us get better equipment, and our big goal is to hire an editor someday, so your contribution could really make a difference. If you can't give monthly, there are other ways you can help. Share us with your true crime friends. Word of mouth goes a long way. Or you can give us a one-time contribution through buymeacoffee.com/ODFM podcast. We appreciate your support, and someday we hope to make ODFM our main jobs with your help.